I just moved that.
You call?
What happened?
Trying to call.
Sorry.
Are you phoning a friend?
We're ready? All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Community Development, Economic Development, Park and Recreation Committee meeting. Like to call the meeting to order. Roll call. Jody, you want to do roll call?
Sure. Jane DiGiacomo,
Here.
Jody Mills, here. Mr. Manager,
Here.
Mr. Roskovitz.
Here.
Okay.
All right. And I'd like to welcome our guests. We have Jamie Baker from the Made on Main project and Stu Cordell, who is president of the Park Place Nonprofit Center. And I'm going to let them take it away.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks for inviting us to bring everybody up to date on the Made on Main project. Just a short history and an explanation of Park Place Nonprofit. We are a charitable organization, and we have space that we've leased on West 46th Street in the Chamber of Commerce building. And we have several nonprofit organizations that are housed in that building. And in addition, our mission is to try and help revitalize Main Avenue. And sitting around having conversations about what we have in downtown and what's available and how we might revitalize it, we came across an idea that's being done in several other cities across the country, and it's taking downtown buildings where there isn't much foot traffic any longer and retail would have a hard time surviving, and converting the use of those buildings to what they refer to as small-scale manufacturing. So smaller businesses that make things, and using those existing buildings because they have infrastructure, they have light and electricity and water and sewer service and everything already, and putting very light manufacturing into those buildings. And so we researched the concept. We hired Jamie as our project coordinator. We called it Made on Main, and we advertised for applications for people who would like to bring a small-scale manufacturing business to a building on Main Avenue. We had over 24 applications, lots of interest in the process. Went through some process with those applicants to narrow them down, ended up with 7 finalists as part of that competition, and gave them the opportunity to do a sort of Shark Tank event, a pitch event, where they would pitch their business plan and their concept to a panel of judges, answer questions, and then be voted on. And we gave away a total of $100,000 in prize money to those contestants. And we're very excited. We continue to work with them. That pitch event took place in August of this year. And we've been working with those, the 5 main winners and the 2 pop-up winners since then to create locations for them here on Main Avenue and to get their businesses to a point where they can move in and get started making things on Main. And to give you the update, I'm going to ask Jamie Baker to take over.
Thanks. So I get to talk about all the fun stuff. Let me see if, okay. So as Stu said in our pitch days, 7 businesses presented. 2 will be in a pop-up category, which we'll get into a little bit later. 5 will be permanently located on Main. Our first prize winner, she not only won the highest rating from the judges, but she also won a People's Choice Award. Her name is Shaniqua Bell. She's Ashtabula born and raised, went through the public schools here. She saved up $300 to buy herself a Cricut machine 3 years ago, a machine to print t-shirts, and that $300 launched her a business that supports her and her family. And through this competition, she learned a lot. She's a very giving, loving person. She has so much love for this community. She invested the first $3,000 of her prize money into a deluxe version of the printing process so that she can kind of scale up her operations. It's a direct-to-film printer roller with an oven. And she wanted to start scaling up before we had her space ready for her. So Stu generously offered her to take up one of the offices within our Park Place Nonprofit Center offices. So she's in there just about every day working. And we've heard through the grapevine that people have been driving up and down Main trying to find her shop, so she's in demand. You can see on this slide in the colorful building, that is where she will be located. That's where her store and also her production location is. So she won't be, and this goes with all the makers, she won't be sitting in the shop to sell every day. It's kind of more by appointment. Mostly what she's going to be doing is in the back, working with these pieces of equipment, making shirts for the schools and the sports teams and all kinds of private customers that she has in a customer base. Then our other tie for first place was Happy Etchings. And Happy Etchings has a really cool business model. Also got started in business right around during COVID. She was in the travel industry and she got furloughed. And so she just started etching stuff. And the very first thing she made was a cutting board with one of her mother's handwritten recipes on it. And she gave those away to some family members for Christmas gifts. And then her phone started ringing. Everybody wanted a cutting board with their grandma or mom's recipe on it. And now she makes all kinds of things. It's a full-time job for her. She's almost ready to add another full-time employee. She sells all over the place at regional, the kind of the bigger art fairs that are all throughout like several state area. And she also has a great online business. So she'll also be on Main, and you might smell an ever so slight smell of wood smoke, which we will have very properly ventilated coming out, but there's a slight wood smoke smell to what she makes, which now you'll know what it is if you notice it some warm day. This is just some images of some of her work. When she does a display, as you can see, when she goes and sets up at a vendor fair, it's just so alluring and professional. You can see my mom and I in a couple of these pictures. She does pop-up events. It's kind of like a sip and whatever, that kind of type of event where you can go with a group of people and make something that she has already cut out all the laser part for you. You assemble it and paint it and kind of make it your own. She also met through this process, through the classes with NeoFund, she met Brant's, and they hired her to do all their awards for their 5K race, and I don't know if they did other races, but she did all that this year, which she was thrilled about. And she will also be on 46th Street on the other end of it in one of the storefronts there. And then we have technological resources. So technological resources, they have a big concept that'll take a little bit longer for you to see that comes to fruition. So they purchased this building right here. What is the address? 4626, I believe, and 4628. So they, is that right? Okay. Yeah, so they purchased those buildings after being part of this process and feeling like Maine was the place for them to invest. And they've begun doing some minor things on the interior of the building, and they have all kinds of plans. What they need to do is figure out some financing, because the type of equipment that they want to purchase is more, it's expensive. It exceeds the amount that they want in their prize money. So they're looking to do some long-range planning and then hopefully open up in the next year or so. But this could be big for our economy. Like if his ideas take off to the extent that he thinks, he could have multiple employees. He's looking at customers such as big corporate customers that are national names that you would know. So we're really excited about that too. And then Blessings Concrete, they do amazing concrete work. Like you could get a table that looks like Carrara marble but have your business's logo in the center of it, all fully embedded in the concrete so that it looks seamless. Or if you're like a Browns fan or a Steelers fan, I don't know, I don't want to get something thrown at me, but you could have the sports logo put in it for like your man cave or whatever. He is also making this really cool Gum Gum for Dum Dum sculpture that's either going to be right front and center in the window of his storefront to attract attention, or if it's feasible, perhaps on the sidewalk to attract even more attention. He's moving into a storefront on Main Avenue as well, which is right next door to the storefront that Castle Railings and Castle Metal Decor is moving into. So this is Andrew Miller, and both he and Thad are A-Tech graduates, local, raised around here. Castle Metal Decor was a new LLC created throughout this process. So Castle Railings, when they do their, I'll flip to some pictures. They do a lot of like these floating staircases and custom railing installations. And he started making decorative wall art because he had so much scrap. So it was a way to repurpose the scrap. And then he figured out through this process, he went through the NeoFun 6-week course and wrote a business plan for a new business with Castle Metal Decor. And the place on Main Avenue will be both a showroom. He's probably gonna have some of these like floating stairs that are one of his specialties, and some railings in there, and then also sell the metal decor. Now these are two of the businesses that are in the pop-up category. And why we wanted to do that is because these two particular ladies, they just have all kinds of enthusiasm. They come with their own audience. Their kids are little and in school and in sports. This is Andrea Taylor. She wants to just do things with kids, make things with kids. She also has the idea to make, you know, if you go to a child's birthday party, a lot of the moms send kids home with like a little goodie bag. Well, she has really cool ideas about how to make that be something that's like a little maker's crafts for the kids that she could then scale up and sell online. She's also an accountant, so she thinks about the math of it, right? Which I really like. Like every time I talk to her, she's thinking about the cost of the goods, the amount she can sell it for, the amount of her labor, the amount of time it takes her to go and pick up stuff. She called around to the wineries and found somebody that would give her recycled bottles, and that's one of her newest things is hydro dipping them and turning them into incense makers. And you can either buy that from her when she's at one of these vendor fairs, or you can make your own and kind of customize it. And what else is cool about this is both of these two ladies, they're gonna have family-friendly events, so we'll start seeing little feet going up and down Main. Eclectic Art Avenue is Jamie Baird's business. She's a pharmacy tech at ACMC, also local, wonderful woman. She's been through the NeoFun process, as has everybody else. She did her very first event at the Space on Main on November 2nd, and it was a fall crafting event. And she was just so organized and had it all together, and now she has the confidence to do more events coming up and participate in some more things this coming fall. Do you want to talk a little about the food truck
Sure.
park? You know more about that than me.
A couple years ago, there was a fire in one of the buildings on Main Avenue, and the owner of that building and the adjacent building that was also damaged in the fire couldn't afford to do any repairs, and so they sold the buildings to Park Place Nonprofit. So we acquired both of those, and we demolished the building that was heavily damaged in the fire, and that's been a vacant lot now for a while. I'm letting the dirt settle so that we can do more things with it. The other building, we looked into renovating it, but the cost was unbelievably high. So we have pulled the salvage out of that building, taken the granite front down off of it, and that building will be demolished probably next month.
Oh,
And so we've now created space on Main Avenue, and what do we do with it? And in working with Mr. Timonaire and talking about things that might be available, we came up with an idea to create a park, sort of a pocket park, if you will, in that space, and designing it in a way that would allow for food trucks to come in along one side and have a pad to park on, and up to 4 of them, have a covered area where there could be some fixed tables for someone to sit down and eat, have some grass throughout the area as well, lighting, maybe some overhead lights, something to make it really attractive and create space for people to be outside. Because when it's summer around here and it's nice, there's no place better. So we've put in a grant application to try and raise some money in order to create this project in that space. And hopefully we'll hear positive things from the grant application. Even if we don't, we'll see if we can still pursue it and create that, because there is a food truck industry in Ashtabula County, and there's a need for this type of thing on Main Avenue, a place that'll be a little quieter, have some trees and some shade, some place for people to sit outside and be just a little bit of greenery in an otherwise pretty solid concrete area. So that's something that we're trying to promote, and it can do nothing but enhance the other efforts we're undertaking on Main Avenue.
And what I love about this too is like the synergy of having that green space that can be programs for different kinds of things. So we were, before the meeting got started, talking about some of these events that are coming up. Well, if we know there's an event coming up that's going to be like a walking tour, what's better than to stop and get a taco along the way, right? And take a little break and be outside and enjoy your neighborhood. So it's exciting. So along that lines of kind of like this is both an economic development and urban planning strategy. So I said to Stu, we need a selfie spot. And I was surprised that he knew what that was. And so
I have children, so.
So in keeping it all in the family, we worked with Castle Meadow Decor. We told him we wanted to see eagle wings with a Beulah banner above and just to have free reign with it. And he's so creative. What he came up with is just incredible.
Well, you've seen selfie spots in other places, and they're typically two-dimensional. On a building, it's a painting, and people stand against it and get their photograph taken. And there's some other marking that denotes where it is that they are. We wanted something three-dimensional. We wanted a sculpture. And so Andrew was very kind and designed this for us, and I think it's fabulous.
I think it's fabulous too. And to also celebrate the other makers, Thad with Blessings Concrete, he's making the base. And then Julie with Happy Etching, she's going to make a plaque, and we've asked them each to do so in a way that really features their brand and their business and their creative talents. So the picture in the middle is before it weathered. This is a weathering steel. So a couple times when I went over to Andrew's place, the whole outside smelled like vinegar, and he was out there misting it because that's what makes it rust quicker and weather.
Oxidized, not rust.
Oxidized, yes, oxidized. Got to get the terms right. So the picture to the left is kind of a little, it's finished now, and it's just waiting for us to get our act together and get it installed. But it has this gorgeous patina. The back side of it is true to a feather, so there's the little feathers all along the back. It's just truly a piece of art. The photo in the middle with my tape measure going through it, that's the location where it'll be set on the concrete pad. And then the picture in the middle is from an event that was right before Halloween that the Bakery on Main and the Ashtabula Arts Center had. And it just shows the really cool, what could happen if 46th Street is closed for seasonal, periodic, occasional events, or permanently, kind of like East 4th in Cleveland. And then that feeds into that synergy with the space on Main and the food truck court. Can't you just imagine there being 3,000 people down there for some major event, and you can walk in between all of that?
So just for perspective, in the right-hand picture, you're standing on Main Avenue and looking east down 46th Street to the Spring Street Bridge. And so on the left side are the planting areas, and so where the tape measure is where the concrete base will be. And the wings will be mounted on that base, on that location. It will be illuminated from the top of the building, and our offices are just down the street to the left in that same building that's owned by the Chamber of Commerce.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
So
You'll come and get your selfie taken.
I absolutely will. So what's the projected date of the selfie station going up?
soon. We have a few logistics to kind of finish ironing out, but pretty soon.
Okay.
Hopefully in the next few weeks.
Perfect.
Yeah. We couldn't quite get it done in time for the parade, unfortunately,
That's all right.
which would have been nice. And then I just wanted to let you know, if you're out shopping, Small Business Saturdays are really important. That's become an important amount of the revenue for some of the small businesses all over the country. And I'm just so excited. Both of these businesses took it upon themselves because they're excited about the enthusiasm around them of everything that's going on in Maine, not just what we're doing, but everything. So there will be a small business vendor fair at the Space on Main, and then the dojo, she does these amazing baked goods. She's having a small business Saturday at her place, and she already has 3 or 4 vendors lined up too, so it should be a lot of fun.
And where's the dojo at?
She's at 4316 Park Avenue.
Oh, we're, yeah, the old Park Avenue Winery.
Yes.
Perfect.
So if you have any questions, be happy to answer them. We're really glad that the city has been involved with us. Mr. Timonaire and Mary Church has been very helpful in helping us work through things like zoning and approvals, making sure that we weren't going to be out of compliance with the downtown zoning ordinances. We've also had some other help from other organizations in the community. And so contributing to the Made on Main project includes the Ashtabula Foundation, the Robert Morrison Foundation, Andover Bank. They've all been very supportive in contributions toward helping us make this project real. And the Business of Good Foundation has also made contributions to Park Place Nonprofit. And so that's how we're supporting all this. It's charitable dollars. And what we're ending up with is 3 spaces on one at 4628 or whatever the number was, Main Avenue, that's been vacant for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 storefronts on 46th Street that have both been vacant for a long time are going to be put back into use. And the other 2, Andrew and Thad, are going just across the tracks where E&J Auto Glass used to be and occupying that space. So putting buildings back into service. And as I said, we're not depending on walking retail traffic. It's delightful to have it, but the point of these types of businesses is not to have people come in and impulse buy from them, but instead to find them on the internet, order things from them and have them shipped, and then that starts the momentum. And as we get more spaces occupied on Main Avenue with businesses that are generating positive economic activity, other things start to fill in. Other places start to get renovated. Other building owners see that there's a market, that these buildings can be rented to, because if there's no market for renting a building, most landlords can't afford to spend the money to renovate. So which happens first? We're trying to catalyze that by putting some businesses into place. We are doing the renovations on some of these buildings, and some of them are being funded by the landlords themselves, because we're giving them a tenant that's going to pay rent, that's going to create economic activity on Main Avenue. And we're hopeful that it'll continue. There will be another wave of makers that come in, that go through the training, that learn what it's going to take in order to open a business, and we'll find space for them on Main Avenue. Jamie's canvassed all of the building owners, talking to various ones. We're meeting with another one on Thursday. We're talking with a couple of other business or building owners about the availability of tenants, and they may be willing to come in if the situation is right. So it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight.
But it's going to seem like it happened overnight to the people out there.
Yes.
That they're going to be like, wow, when did this happen? And they don't realize all that.
That's what I'm hopeful about, is Ashtabula is just such a wonderful place to work, because everybody here is optimistic, and it's a small, tight-knit community. So I think just through that word of mouth of like, this is happening over here and something's happening at Shays has a new owner, and the Carlisle, I see construction. It's giving people, I think, that faith to take that step to believe and put their best foot forward for what they can do for their business on Main.
Absolutely.
Can I ask,
It sounds like too, when we had, and you can attest to this, some of the places would get a tenant and maybe they didn't have the support. So it sounds like they're getting support if you're connecting them with, how to run a business, or if it's things with marketing or, with their budgeting or things that maybe they were, I don't know, sort of like kind of winging it on their own, and next thing you know, the
Right.
doors would shut.
Right.
We required all of the applicants to go through the NeoFund class as a start. And then we have mentors, both through SCORE and other local mentors, to help them, to coach them through the process, to help them to grow so that they are going to pay their bills. They're going to have proper financial statements, file tax returns, pay sales taxes, all of those things that business owners can trip over if they don't know that they exist. And so brand new entrepreneurs very often don't know the broad regulatory landscape that they're subject to, and most importantly being tax payments. And so we're trying to give them these services that are available to them and coach them about how to build a business from the ground up and how to do it responsibly and to comply with all of the requirements that they need to. So we're not just handing them a check and cutting them adrift.
Right, right.
And that's a formula that works. It's proven in many other locations that just giving them the money and telling them to go forth and prosper is not going to happen.
Right.
But if we continue to monitor their progress, have periodic meetings, this group of 5 especially has become tight, and they talk to one another and they encourage one another, and it's really good to see. They're creating their own little community, and that's just going to grow.
So if I was on Facebook and listening to this, how, maybe I want to support these businesses and find their links. Is it, where would I go on Facebook to do that?
So you could look at the madeonmaine.org page and find, I think you could find everybody's link pretty easily, but you're putting a good idea in my head, Jane, because I should check and make sure it's easy to find. And also, if you're somebody that's listening that has a business idea, just email me, because we're looking to build a next cohort of makers, and it might not necessarily be a pitch competition. The renegades that are the first ones out are usually the ones that get the carrot of the prize. What now is the prize is, by the time the second cohort gets here, this will be a functioning district where there's some sort of track record that it is a place that's profitable to be. So my email is jbaker@madeonmaine.org. And I get emails and calls still almost every week. Somebody has a business idea, and then we put them through that same process that each of the businesses that are opening this year have gone through. So all of that is free or a very nominal cost of supplies. So, you've got nothing to lose. There's no downside from contacting us.
Perfect.
The NeoFund organization is also located there on 46th Street in our building. They have office space there, and Kelly Esposito, the executive director, she's there every day and administering their programs.
And that's the Kelly that we know and love from the harbor, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where the initial $100,000 came from, the Neo Fund? Is that where?
It didn't come from NeoFund. It came from a combination of the Ashtabula Foundation, the Robert Morrison Foundation, Andover Bank, and the Business of Good Foundation.
Oh,
So those foundations and the Andover Bank underwrote that prize money and the other costs of administering this program.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so is there a chance that may continue, replicate itself, or even in a smaller version, or like you saying you have other people interested in contacting you, will there be help for them
There
down
will
the road?
always be help, yes, because we've built this entrepreneurs ecosystem that consists of NeoFund and other supporting organizations around them to help people move forward. Whether there's another pitch event and prize money or not remains to be seen, but there will be follow-on businesses that we will be bringing through that process of coaching, going through the basic business education that NeoFund offers, and then the additional education beyond that, and coaching to make sure that if they've got a valid business idea, we've even got an organization that's part of NeoFund that helps place financing applications with banks and non-traditional lenders, that if they need funding in order to grow their business, there's an avenue to pursue that.
So I'm gonna pitch NeoFund for a nanosecond here. When I came on city council, I actually went through the course because I thought, I needed to do that. My husband went through that course, and Framed on Main was opened as a result. And through eCapital, which is also, I think, under your umbrella, I sold my business.
Yes.
So it's been good. It's been good to me.
Well, and we're delighted to have Chris on Main Avenue too, because he's a wonderful resource. We go over to Chris frequently, and I mean, he's got all of this history and photographs of things, but also the artwork in my office.
Yeah.
So,
And in my home.
Yeah. And in our home. All right. So does anyone have any questions? No?
Mr. Giacomo, I was gonna let them know, we were gonna have Huntington Bank, Dalton Rosado, tonight to speak about some business loans, and she had a conflict, but just so you know, she does have Huntington's, it's called Lift Local Business Program, focused on growing minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses. So it does do loan amounts from $1,000 to $150,000, and zero origination fees. It's got a lot to it. If you've got folks that need to borrow higher amounts, stop and see Dalton. We're gonna try to have her back
Wonderful.
another time, but just another Main Avenue resource.
And she's wonderful. Kelly and I have both met with her, and it's good to know that we have someone local that's in a local office that we can refer businesses when they need financing or even just to get their business accounts set up.
and Huntington has also been a donor to NeoFund for their lending program for the past couple of years. Huntington has made a very generous grant to the Ashtabula Capital Access Program, which is part of NeoFund, and helping to underwrite the cost of operating that business to help place loans. If a traditional bank can't accept them, then we move into a different market. But Huntington has been very involved in that, and we appreciate it.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing
you.
that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely.
So you're welcome to stay while we move on to other subjects. Or if you want to skedaddle, that's understandable too.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for coming.
Oh,
I'm super.
Yes.
So Main Avenue is my heart, so I'm very excited that you're here and doing what you're doing.
Thank you for your support. Everyone at the city, Jody, Jane, Mr. Timoney, you've just been wonderful to work with. And I haven't worked with you, but I'm sure you're absolutely wonderful like everybody else. Thank you for welcoming this project and Stu and I this evening.
Thank you.
You know where to find us.
Keep those updates coming.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to turn it over to you, Jim, if you have a report for us.
Thank you, Mrs. Giacomo. I don't really have a report. I guess I can just kind of, obviously going along with what's happening with this group, with the Makers on Main. You see all the construction that's going on down here, as was mentioned. The Carlisle project has started. The market, the DG market, is really on the move now, getting that sealed in. So a lot of the projects that are around the area are still, trying to get as much done as they can before winter sets in, and hopefully have everything closed in before winter. So still chasing a lot of leads, working with Growth Partnership on things. But right now, the environment for investment, especially in the city, is pretty hot. So we're excited about that, chasing a lot of these projects, which leads into what the staff and I have started talking about and planning for next year. It's going to be a busy year. We've gone through a lot of growing pains because of all of this construction, and realized some things that we would really like to change to make it easier, not only for the city but for developers. And with such an explosive growth going on right now, trying to keep a little bit of a identity of the city as well by changing some zoning around. So those are things that big projects that we want to tackle within 2024, possibly into 2025, but they're very doable. So
I see a lot of activity down at the new council building.
yeah, so
There's a lot
things
of-
are going
lot
on.
of
Things are
down.
going very well down there. Just to give you an update, where the council building will be, they've been focused on that, really knocking that one out. Waiting right now on generators to come in. So once the generators come in, they've got about a day and a half, maybe 2 days of work at the Gleckler building, which will be our health department. We've already started moving some things into that building. Everything else in there is done except for putting the generators in. Why that's important is because of our Helmer refrigerators that keep our vaccines. They must be on constant power. They must be regulated at a temperature, so we can't move anything until all of that's set. Anticipating end of this month, early next month, before we give the go-ahead to move the health department. I'm still hopeful by the end of the year that we'll be able to get into the other buildings. Might roll into the beginning of 2024, but they're very active down there right now.
I
Yes.
see a lot of activity.
Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Manager, can I ask, I drove by the Chestnut
Mhm.
building, and it's looking
Coming along.
awesome. And I
Yep.
didn't realize the parking's gonna be around,
Around
you know,
the
the back, so
Mhm.
it looks real
Very clean.
clean through the front. So do they have any anticipated, since that frames up and?
Have not heard yet. I think at last discussion, there were some issues coordinating with the illuminating company because basically every unit is now metered. So having all of that electric brought to the building and then all different meters put onto the building, and there was some coordination as far as timing goes. Having a little timing issue at the hotel down in the harbor as well. So we'll be making some phone calls tomorrow with the illuminating company.
Okay. So each one has their own,
It sounds like each one down there, they've have it planned out that they'll have their own meter on it.
I gotcha. That's a lot of work.
It is,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
All right, and I know there wasn't a park and recreation meeting, but I don't know if you guys had anything you wanted to report? Yeah, you can go on.
So, Mary Algraves, City of Ashtabula, Vice President of the My Neighborhood Collaborative. Well, we like to thank the city for cleaning up the brush pile and the cutting of the grass at Clifford Caden Presidential Park, and to the city fire department, especially Fire Chief Sean Gruber, for the fire permit that allowed us to hold our community fire event on November 4th. We had about 30 volunteers, gardeners, and community members attend the fire, where we had a great time with music, good food, and good conversation. And we'd like to start a new tradition with the community fire on a yearly basis. We will be having a meeting for anyone who was involved in the 2023 garden season in any capacity to attend. The meeting is set place to take on November 21st, 2023, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Ashtabula Public Library's Robert Morrison Room. Anyone attending this meeting tonight is also invited to attend that meeting. We'll just be going over our year and ideas and, different, frames of mind from different people to help us make next year a lot, run more smoothly, have a even better year than we had this year. So that's what we're looking for. And then Julie Wayman, the president, and myself personally would like to extend a congratulations to the city manager on his election win. We look forward to working with you, the city, and the committees in the years to come. That's all I have.
So November 23rd, 6 to 8 at the library?
November 21st,
First.
2023, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Ashtabula Public Library's Robert Morrison Room.
Thank you.
Mary?
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank everybody at Caden Park. I know you do a lot on all the gardening and all that, and I think too, connecting with with your group on what all you do so we can get messages out to be more proactive so people know what's going on there because you do a lot to help feed
Yeah,
our
yes.
community. So connect on that.
So that's Tuesday. That's a week from today.
Yes, it's next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yes.
It's just crazy. It's already going to be.
No, it's already almost Thanksgiving. Anyway, so.
Wow, that seems like weeks away, but
No,
not really.
right? Yeah, no, it is. No, it's really not, so. All right, any other questions?
Oh, so that event went, I wanted to come to that event.
Oh,
I was
yes.
babysitting and I
Oh,
didn't,
okay.
I didn't want to do that to that
It was
event.
an excellent event, like I said, about 30 volunteers, gardeners, you know, like different, everybody that like helped out in the garden and everything. About 30 of us were able to sit around a small fire and roast marshmallows and eat hot dogs and have warm cider. And even though it was cold, the fire kept us warm, and the apple cider kept us warm as well. And the music kept us moving.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were okay. We were good. It was a great night with a lot of great people. So yeah,
Nice.
that's why we want to do it on a yearly basis, maybe a little earlier.
In the year.
Not so freezing cold and
Yeah.
type thing. So yeah,
Very nice. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Mary, if you do it again next year, I think the reason some of us weren't there, the Halo event at Mount Carmel is normally that first Saturday in November. Because I wanted to go to, there was a bunch of things on that day,
There
but
were.
yeah. Yeah, it sounded like just nice. I think people like to be outside, so having more things outside, like our other two guests that we're talking about, having food trucks and being outside, I just think there's something mind, body, spirit about being able to be outside, even if it's cold, and you're dressed appropriately. Being outside is very therapeutic. So, thank you.
So are there any other guests in the audience that came to speak? No? Okay. Do we have anything else anybody wants to bring up? No? Okay, we're not having a meeting in December, so our next meeting won't be until January. And that's all I have. This is my favorite part.